start. MTC. Q start for number 1. I was sitting in the porch of the house at the trading station of Vanovara at breakfast time and looking towards the north, when suddenly the sky was split in two. Vanovara. High above the forest, the whole northern part of the sky appeared to be covered with fire. At that moment I felt a great heat, as if my shirt had caught fire. I wanted to pull off my shirt and throw it away, but at that moment there was a bang in the sky, and a mighty crash was heard. I was thrown on the ground some distance away from the porch, and for a moment I lost consciousness. My wife ran out and carried me into the hut. The crash was followed by a noise like stones falling from the sky, or guns firing. The earth trembled, and when I lay on the ground I covered my head because I was afraid that stones might hit it. MTC. Good job. Let's start. MTC. Q start for number 2. The title of a scientific article should be chosen with care because it provides the first basis on which a prospective reader can decide whether or not to go further in reading the article. It therefore should provide as much information as possible about the nature of the paper, without, however, exceeding the length limitations. In practice it will be the chief source on which indexers will rely. Therefore, it is desirable, if possible, to get index words into the title, i.e., words under which the paper should be listed in the subject index. For example, if a small number of chemical compounds were studied in some way, such that the article should be indexed under the names of the compounds, try to get the names in the title. MTC. Good job. Let's start. MTC. Q start for number 3. Whatever you do, please don't paste a fake smile on your face. Plastic smiles do damage to your soul. We've all known people who've worn silly grins while they talked about something sad. This tendency to smile even when you don't feel like it developed in childhood, when our parents persuaded us into smiling for the camera or for other people even though we didn't feel like it. Making kids smile when they aren't up to it sends a message that it's not okay to be authentic. Even in front of the camera it's better to capture genuine irritable faces than false stares. The most fascinating snapshots are truthful, those that catch people being real. Fake people plaster on smiles when they'd rather be crying, or they smile when they're angry or sad. Slowly they lose touch with their souls. MTC. Good job. Let's start. MTC. Q start for number 4. Here's a curious paradox. If perfection is a state beyond improvement, then isn't every moment, by definition, perfect? After all, any given now, any given moment of reality is what it is in the sense that it cannot be anything other than what it is. Take this moment, right now. This moment is already here, and, as such, as theoretically imperfect as it may be, it is, at present, beyond any modification. While you could take the lessons of this moment and try to make the next moment better, this very moment is beyond improvement. It is too late to add anything to this moment to make it better. And if this moment, this slice of reality, is beyond improvement, then it's the only way it can be, the best it can be, perfect. MTC. Good job. Let's start. MTC. Q start for number 5. Spider-Man was a tremendous hit with readers because it gave millions of teenagers a hero with whom they could identify. Jocks and cheerleaders didn't read comics. The quiet, introspective students did, the same type of students as Peter Parker, the main character. Peter Parker. Spider-Man was the first ongoing, reality-based superhero comic. Peter could swing over buildings, use his artificial webbing to catch a pair of bank robbers, then return a missing animal to the zoo as part of a day's work. Peter. But in the evening, at home with his Aunt May, he was the one superhero who needed to sew the holes in his socks, take 2 aspirin for his headache, then watch the TV news to see if there were any reports about his exploits earlier in the day. May TV. MTC. Good job. Let's start. MTC. Q start for number 6. The saying "the grass is always greener on the other side of the fence" comes from the idea of someone looking over a fence and thinking their neighbor's yard is greener, healthier, and more beautiful than their own. This proverb is used when we think someone else's life is better than ours, but it's always understood as a misperception. Standing directly in our own lawn, we can see all its flaws. From a distance, across the fence, the neighbor's lawn appears perfect. But getting closer, we see their weeds, dry spots, bugs, and bare patches, just like ours. MTC. Good job. Let's start. MTC. Q start for number 7. Plato advanced an argument that a written text is no substitute for a spoken dialogue, in the 7th letter. 7. Every man of worth, when dealing with matters of worth, will be far from exposing them to ill feeling and misunderstanding among men by committing them to writing, he declared. He was criticizing his pupil Dionysius, the ruler of Syracuse, who had written a philosophical treatise. Syracuse Dionysius. Mere written words, Plato argued, cannot convey the flashes of insight through which philosophical truths come to be understood. Instead, like Socrates, Plato preferred the dialectic approach of arriving at truth through dialogue. In the course of scrutiny and kindly testing by men who proceed by question and answer without ill will, with a sudden flash there shines forth understanding about every problem. His pupil Aristotle believed that spoken words are the symbols of mental experience and written words are the symbols of spoken words, another expression of the Greek view of the superiority of speech over writing. MTC. Good job.